Hi, I would like to take the concept of bias and explore how it can be integrated across various IBDP subjects. Bias, which refers to a tendency, inclination, or prejudice toward or against something or someone, often in a way that is considered to be unfair, is a powerful idea to explore in education. Understanding bias helps students critically evaluate information, question assumptions, and develop a more nuanced view of the world. Integrating the concept of bias across IBDP subjects. Natural sciences, biology, chemistry, physics. Integration example. In biology, students can investigate how bias affects scientific research, particularly in studies related to controversial topics like climate change or genetic engineering. They can explore how funding sources, personal beliefs, or societal values can influence the interpretation of scientific data. In chemistry, discussions can center on how historical biases, such as the initial rejection of the idea of atoms, affected the development of scientific theories. Physics students might look at gender bias in scientific research and contributions, examining how biases can influence which theories are developed or which scientists receive recognition. Mathematics. Integration example. In mathematics, students can analyze the concept of statistical bias. They might explore how biased sampling methods or misleading representations of data can lead to incorrect conclusions. This can include looking at how statistical methods are used in real-world contexts like polling, marketing, or scientific research, discussing the ethical implications of using biased data to support particular claims. Human sciences, psychology, economics, anthropology. Integration example. In psychology, students can study cognitive biases, such as confirmation bias, and how these affect human behavior and decision-making. They can investigate how biases influence psychological experiments, particularly in areas like social psychology. In economics, discussions can focus on how biases affect economic theories and models, such as the impact of cultural or ideological bias on economic policy. Anthropology students can explore cultural biases and how they influence the interpretation of social practices and beliefs in different societies. The arts, visual arts, music, theater. Integration example. In visual arts, students can examine how cultural or personal biases influence the interpretation of artworks. They can explore how bias affects both the creation and reception of art, such as the marginalization of certain artistic styles or artists due to cultural biases. In music and theater, discussions can focus on how bias affects the portrayal of characters, themes, and stories, and how this can reinforce or challenge societal norms and prejudices. History. Integration example. In history, students can analyze how bias affects historical narratives. They might investigate how historians' perspectives, backgrounds, or political views influence their interpretations of events. Discussions can include examining primary sources for bias, understanding how history has been written from different viewpoints, and exploring how bias affects the representation of certain groups or events in historical records. Languages, language A and B. Integration example. In language and literature, students can analyze how language reflects and perpetuates bias. They can explore how authors' biases are evident in their works, and how language can be used to manipulate or influence readers' perceptions. In language B, students can examine how cultural biases are embedded in language, such as through idioms or proverbs, and discuss how these biases affect cross-cultural communication and understanding. Ethics. Integration example. In ethics, discussions can focus on the ethical implications of bias in decision-making and knowledge production. Students can explore questions such as whether it is possible to be completely unbiased, how to mitigate biases in ethical decision-making, and the impact of bias on ethical theories and practices. Conclusion. By integrating the concept of bias across various IBDP subjects, students can develop a deeper understanding of how biases affect different areas of knowledge and influence our perceptions of the world. This cross-disciplinary approach encourages critical thinking, reflection, and a more nuanced understanding of knowledge, helping students become more thoughtful and reflective learners who are better equipped to navigate the complexities of the modern world.